Yo guys, what's going on? It's your boy, Atypical Security Guard. I have a day off today, and that means that is a day for videos, and today is going to be a day for answering your questions. I had a great response from you guys about 2 days ago. I put up a post and I said, ask me anything, and you guys asked me some great questions, and I figured instead of having people go back and try and read through everything, I would answer each one of those questions here. Now, it might surprise you that after having a couple of days to think about things, I might have a different answer, so stay tuned. Alright guys, as always, I want to thank you for being a part of our community. Welcome to the Security Guard channel and the Observe and Report podcast. Today, we'll be doing a question and answer video session. So the first question, it came from Connor Dillon. Connor says, what would it take for you to move away from the Pacific Northwest? Well, as you guys know, if you've been following this channel, I live in Portland, Oregon. Don't ask, I know. And I guess the question comes up quite a bit. You know, I put so much information on this channel. I talk about the problems, the issues, the things that we're facing, and specifically with the upcoming gun control legislation. You know, the question has been asked many times, why do you stay and what will it take for you to leave? Well, the first part of that question of why do I stay, this is where my wife is. She has family here. She really likes it here. She has a business that she's trying to get off the ground, and I feel that this is a good place for her. My son is also on the West Coast going to grad school. I like being close to him, and I've purchased property. I know it's probably not the smartest thing to do, but I did purchase property here. So instead of losing out on all of the potential benefit of having that property, I've decided to stay. And more importantly, I really do enjoy my job. Guys, I have this channel because I really enjoy security. And one of the benefits of how horrible Portland is that it affords me the opportunity to work in security, to make really good money, and to have an impact. It's almost kind of a symbiotic relationship. If we didn't have all of the insane policies and all of the bleeding heart liberalism, there really wouldn't be a need for guys like me. And so for me to benefit from having this job and to be of benefit, this is a great place for me to be, even though it drives me absolutely insane. The second question comes from Big Dual Tank 17, something like that. Sorry if I butchered your name, but he says, how can we control ourselves emotionally when dealing with different security issues? To follow that question up, what is the right response whenever a call or a complaint about a trespasser comes up? So the first part of the question is absolutely awesome. Best question you can ask. How do we control ourselves emotionally? Now, if you guys watch the video of the shooting that I put up earlier this week, that is the exact example of what not to do, right? Guys, listen. You are going to be put in so many situations where your manhood is going to be challenged. Your ego is going to be bruised. People are going to call you every single name in the book. They're going to cue in. They're going to absolutely cue in on all of your insecurities, right? So my biggest piece of advice for every security guard is to handle your issues before you put the uniform on. You have to figure out what your insecurities are. If you have an issue with being small, if you have an issue with being overweight, if you have an issue with being black or white or gay or straight, all of these things you've got to come to terms with before you put the uniform on and before you put the badge on. Because for some reason, dirtbags are able to cue in on whatever your insecurities are. And whatever those insecurities are, they're going to come up. You have got to be emotionally and mentally tied together before you go to work, because when you're working with the public, specifically in security, your job is going to be to deal with the lowest common denominator. You're going to also meet good people at the absolute worst part of their day. So you're not going to get a lot of positive interaction, and it's up to you. This is the most important part of this. It's up to you to have your emotions in check. You have got to deal with all of your problems before you go to work. Don't take your relationship issues with you. Don't take your financial issues with you, problems with your boss. When you're interacting with that person, when you're interacting with the public, you've got to have it dialed in, and that is your responsibility. That video that we put up this week, a great example of someone who did not have it dialed in and did everything wrong. The second part of your question was, what is the right response whenever a call or complaint about trespassing comes up? The first answer to that is, what are your post orders? I give a lot of advice on this channel, and I think that I need to do a better job of starting every conversation with, what are your post orders? Guys, your post orders are written communication to you that has been fleshed out by your company, by the contract company, by attorneys, right? For all of the things that you're legally able to do or authorized to do. So whatever your post orders are, that is what you're going to have to adhere to. Now, in terms of dealing with trespassers in general or specifically, I do have a lot of videos up on this channel that address that. And then I have something else in the works that I don't want to necessarily give away right now. So let me just say, stay tuned. The third question comes from LLT, and he says, should security guards be required more training, like as in mandatory? Well, here's how things work in society. There is a minimum bar that's set, a minimum bar for anything, for teachers, for law enforcement, for security, and it is an absolute minimum bar, the low barrier of entry. And then things like what I showed you guys with the shooting happens, and you're no longer in an opportunity to find that training or to exceed that bar. Now that bar is raised mandatorily. And that's exactly what's happening here in Oregon, specifically tied to that shooting and a couple of other instances where guards were just out of control or companies weren't following policy and weren't certifying people. Now it is coming down directly from the governor. In July of 2024, the barrier of entry for armed security and for owning a business, a security-based business, is going to dramatically increase. So my answer to that would be, it's always in our best interest as officers, as guards, as people in general. It's always in our best interest to learn more, to be more professional, to be more advised into what we're doing. But if you don't do that, if you don't exceed that minimum barrier of entry, all it takes is for a situation to happen, and now it's no longer a choice. Now it's going to be done for you, and that's what's going to happen here in Oregon in 2024. Number 4 also comes from LLT, and he says, what security job do you like more, vehicle patrol or a sedentary post? And I'm going to tell you guys that I like the post more than the vehicle, and there's a caveat to that. It has to be an actual foot patrol. I love walking around, talking to people, interacting with the public, networking with people in the corporate side of the business. I love being able to just walk up on things and deal with it right in that moment. I don't like sitting at a desk. I have anxiety, I have depression. I don't like just sitting in one spot. I can get kind of lost in my feelings. I don't like that. I also don't like vehicle patrols because I've done that before in different parts of Portland, and some of the issues that you fall into with vehicle patrols, it goes back to what I was saying about parking lots. Too many variables. You have people that are out there from every walk of life, and you just can't see everything. You can't be aware of everything. And many of you know that a colleague of mine was murdered back in May while doing a vehicle patrol. I think that they are extremely dangerous, although they are necessary and they are a big part of what we do. However, if given the opportunity, I would prefer to be at a location and be on that foot patrol and be able to interact with people. Question number 5 comes from a man, Odonku. Or Donku? Man, there's some weird names on YouTube, guys. But anyway, the question is, have you ever thought about becoming a law enforcement officer? Yes, I have, many, many times. Have I applied to become a law enforcement officer? Yes, I have, many, many times. Have there been opportunities offered to me that I have turned down? Yes, there have, many of them. Have there been opportunities offered to me that I wish I hadn't turned down? Yes. Now, on one hand, I would absolutely love to get involved in law enforcement because I feel that I'm a really good officer. I feel that I bring a lot to the table that is lacking on the LE side of public safety. Now, to be fair, I served as a state constable in Pennsylvania. I have worked in the corrections field. You know, I've had my toe kind of in that side of things. However, I really do like security, and I think that ultimately I am doing the best good right where I'm at. And so it pulls at my heartstrings, and there's times where I really want to do it and I keep thinking about it and I go back and forth, but I really do like what I'm doing, and more than anything, I like working with you guys.